All right. Hi, everyone. This month we have Barb Byers on behalf of the Past Lieutenant Governor Association presenting on Leadership Mythbusters. So thank you all for joining us. And Barb, take it away.
Awesome. Hi, folks. How is everybody on this Monday morning? It's not even morning. It's the evening. It is a Monday. Had a pretty busy weekend with the special convention and the spring fling and Hershey and things. But thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. We've been talking about we're going to be talking about leadership, some traits, some myths and misconceptions within our clubs and also within the district. And hopefully this will help us build some succession. So what I want this to be informal. A lot of us do know each other. And I can't see everybody who's here. However, what is leadership? I want you to think about, and you guys can unmute or put it in the chat. What is a leader? When you think of the word leadership, what do you think about?
And feel free to unmute yourself. Everyone should have the ability to do that tonight.
Okay. Jim said to challenge and support others. What else do you think about when you hear the word leadership? What comes to mind? Organized?
The person in front of the group.
Person in front? Okay. Someone who inspires somebody?
Yeah, that's great.
Mentorship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Couple others. Good listener or a listener.
Communicator.
A communicator. Got to be very good at communicating. Okay. So when you see somebody up the front or doing those things, do you think, gee, I could never do that? That's not something I can do. Or if you heard somebody say that, oh, gee, they do such a great job, I would never be able to do it how they do it. Have you guys heard that? I know I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
And well, what do you think motivates people to become leaders in their job or in their clubs, divisions, regions, etc., within Kiwanis? Why do they step up?
They think maybe they can do it better.
Okay. Maybe. Someone else was talking?
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Support and lead, to support others who wish to lead but need a little inspiration or that little push that says, I can do this, I just need some help.
Okay. So leaders tend to step up, is what I'm hearing. They step up where they see where there's a need or a gap, or
Right.
there's some passion for that cause. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
Okay. So are any of you, and I know most of you probably are you currently a leader in your club and or district?
Yes.
Or have you been?
I have been.
Okay. Everyone's yippers. I wanted to kind of mention what Doug said about, why do people step up? And that it was desire to be an achiever that Kiwanis presents opportunities that might not be present in their career. And I think that's an excellent point. There might be something that they just can't, there's an unmet need there for that person. And hang on to that thought, because we're going to be kind of circling back to that a little bit. So has anybody on this call not been in a leadership role within your club or district at some point? You guys are quiet. So I believe most of you were. Do you want to do that again?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. We're going to think about that. So we kind of threw out some ideas about a leader. And it's not responding to me. There we go. Okay. So the definition of a leader is a person who leads or commands a group, organization, or country, right? But a leader is so much more than that. Can we talk about what traits a good leader has? We talked about some of them when we thought what leadership was, but what are some leadership traits that people have?
A good listener,
Okay.
Organized.
Okay.
Willing to listen to others.
Really hearing, listening. Mm-hmm.
Able to delegate.
Delegate. That's a big one. What other traits would somebody have to be an effective leader?
I was just
Able to
watching oh, go ahead. Was that Lillian?
Thanks, Brittany. Just to be able to resolve conflict or turmoil.
Okay.
I was
saw
just
in the
watching
Go ahead.
about
I'm
Kiwanis,
sorry.
or Kiwanis Amplify was talking about being self-aware as a leader.
That is an excellent point. Thank you for bringing up Amplify. Yeah, if there's things that you heard within that program that would maybe augment this, please share that. That's very important. Self-care and self-awareness is important. You shine in some areas, but there might be some areas that you maybe need some help with, or that you have challenges or barriers. In the chat, Debbie mentioned promoting team engagement, and Jim taking accountability for actions and results. So some of these, we talked about organized, we mentioned being passionate, being inspiring and enthusiastic, supporting others, empathetic, a good listener. That was very, very prevalent throughout our discussions. Being motivating, also being humble, being driven, and having new ideas. I think we hit on all of those. And there were some that you guys came up with that we did not, that were not on this list. This list is obviously not all inclusive. But you hear a lot, and I hear a lot, and there's leadership misconceptions. And some of the myths that you hear, you have to have all the answers, right? You're in front of the room. You should be able to know. You should stay in office for several years or several terms. And that's a big time commitment. You don't have enough time as to do the leadership role. But some of the truths to kind of combat some of those myths, Lillian mentioned delegate. That is absolutely huge. And to get ideas and facilitate discussion, you don't have to have all the ideas. You don't have to have all the thoughts. And you will get training. KI has training for clubs, for club officers. We do district officer training as well. And you want to inspire and energize your teams. This way, you'll be delegating. And if you're able to inspire and energize them, they'll be more willing to follow your lead. And when you delegate, they will do that job. So your time won't be buried in doing all of the things that you need to do.
And to know when that you don't know the answer and say, well, let's find out.
Exactly. That kind of goes with being humble. No, I don't have the answer. Let's look this up, or let me find out for you. I think that actually gives folks a lot of credit. Because, and if you don't want to give wrong information, or if you do, then you correct that. So I do want to go back to kind of the leadership myths a little bit. The needing to stay in office for several terms, several years. Have any of you guys experienced that in your clubs or in your divisions? Have you had a club officer that maybe a president that's been in office for, 5, 6, 7, 10 years?
Oh, no.
Well, I was president 6 out of 8 just because nobody else would do it. And we finally
No,
got
yeah.
somebody to step up.
Right. And that's actually one of the reasons we wanted to have this leadership forum. And some of the misconceptions, maybe, no one else stepped up. Or was it that somebody wanted to step up, but you've been president for 6 years or 8 years, or they've been doing such a great job in 5 years, they don't want to rock that boat. And so it's something to really pay attention to in your clubs. We definitely know there is a leadership gap, and that's why we want to, kind of get some tools in there to build that, because there are a lot of leaders. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes, but you talked about the stagnation. There's, people won't step up. So yeah, I did it because it was the right thing to do. And thank you for taking that. And Brittany brought up the club has had the same secretary for 25 years. I will say secretary is a little different. Often that position is it is a longevity position for whatever reason. You don't have to change secretaries. You can. We joke with our secretary of our club, Marianne Marasco. We tell her she's secretary for life, and she kind of giggles and rolls her eyes at us. So, but if you have you're working through the club and you're having that president who's been there for a long time, maybe there might be somebody who wants to do that, but they're afraid to step up, or they're afraid they're going to rock the boat, or they want to, kind of go forward in maybe some other district roles or be a lieutenant governor or what have you. They have to take those steps. So you want to be aware of that. The computer's being very slow. You're not. There we go. Okay. So we know there's obviously leadership roles all throughout Kiwanis, from on the club and also on the district level, but some are obvious: the club officer, the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, your board of directors, but some are not. I don't know if you guys will consider your SLP advisors leaders.
Oh, yeah.
They absolutely are. They have to facilitate and organize and, and inspire and energize. A person running a service project, the person who's chairing that service project, they are a leader. They need organizational skills. They need to have skills of delegation. So that is a leader, and you can kind of help people kind of ease into some of those leadership roles. And also being part of a committee, that's also a leadership role, because often that's where a lot of the activity is happening within your club. That's where a lot of the meat is happening. Your membership committee is putting together an orientation for your new members and your old members. The committee member who's helping the service project chairperson, they're the ones who are the boots on the ground. They're the ones you can rely on when you need to get that whatever task that you're giving them done. That's how you see who wants to be a leader. And within the district, there's obviously leaders, obviously the governors, the trustees, the lieutenant governors, but there's also a wide array of district chairpersons that, throughout the district that have different specialties. For example, all the SLP administrators, but, Brittany is a good example. She's the continuing education leadership development coordinator. That is a committee chair. The finance chair, there's, ways and means, there's all kinds of different leadership opportunities that you can serve your district without being the president or the governor or the lieutenant governor. And also those members on those committees, again, same as your club. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So do you think about those people as being in leadership roles?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you could talk with them and say, I think you should try to do this job or move up and take on an office or further in the district.
Right. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. I mean, with succession planning, although some leadership roles need some experience and requisite skills or roles, many do not. If you look at that previous slide, to be a lieutenant governor, you need to have served as a club officer. But to be a district chair, you may or may not have needed that requisite experience. You just have to have that knowledge or that interest, etc. Especially, and even on the club level, it's the same thing. A lot of those positions don't really require requisite skills. Some may, depending on your club's, bylaws and things of that nature. But succession planning, and we're seeing the gaps here. We cannot not do this. It is absolutely crucial to the success, the vitality, the survival of your club, of Kiwanis, in our district, in our communities. Could you imagine your community in your club without Kiwanis? The gap in service and support that community would have is completely unacceptable. So how do we do this? Now, if I had the magic bullet, I'd be making a lot more money. But we really got to get to know our members, and we have to know what resonates with them. And sometimes it really is that easy. These are conversations to have with them. You want to, find out what your members want out of Kiwanis. What is their Kiwanis goal? What is their Kiwanis why? And it could be, the children, it could be leadership. It could be to build those networking opportunities, but you're not going to know that unless you know your members.
Yes, yeah.
And that could lead to a leadership role. You know that somebody runs a daycare, and you say, okay, well, we just got these little free libraries and we need this, we need somebody to take on this project. Is that something that you would like to do? And they would say yes or no. That helps them build up that leadership role. It spreads that wealth and that breadth around to the club, and it gives them some confidence. And, Bob, you had mentioned, hey, yeah, you did a really good job with this. Would you like to consider running for treasurer? Or, you did a great job with that fundraising. Would you be able to help us with an audit or what have you?
Yeah,
you want to be
right.
intentional. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, right. Yeah, take steps, little steps to move the person up into a leadership too. And that's part of your role as a leader too.
Mm-hmm. You need to keep an eye out always for those people, but some folks want to jump right in. Some folks not so much. You don't want to hold them back if they're ready to move in and jump right into one of those leadership roles, because maybe then you're going to lose them that way. You're not meeting that unmet need that Kiwanis is working to fill for them. But you also don't want to say, oh, it's your second week, it's April, and we're doing our elections, and we need a president. Would you like to be president? And they go, oh my God, and they run away and you never see them again. You want to really, really get to know your members, and Kiwanis International has so many different tools to help you with those. The various ACE tools, the Achieving Club Excellence. There's a whole lot of them, and this training is not about that. It's really about learning your members, seeing where the gaps are, and truly being intentional and inspiring and encouraging them to meet that full potential and and take that next step. Ask them, why did you join Kiwanis? Why are you staying in Kiwanis? What is your Kiwanis goal? What is something that you would like to achieve? What mark do you want to leave in your Kiwanis club, in your community, in your division, region, district? So we certainly talked a lot about the need for succession, but how do we identify these people? Somebody had mentioned they were president for 6 out of the 8 years because nobody would step up. How do you identify the folks that could possibly take that next turn at being secretary or being president-elect or president of the club or whatever? Thoughts?
That person that supports the current leadership, but is afraid to take that next step. That's who you have the conversation with.
And how do you know they're afraid to take that next step?
Because you ask them if they
Okay.
would take that next step.
Or they might tell you, yeah.
They might say, oh, I don't know, or you see them kind of hovering and, you be intentional and ask them what are you afraid of?
Yeah, right. Yeah. You got to be positive, like, yeah.
And it really is supporting and encouraging. Again, who can you rely on for a project or a task? That's a good way to kind of identify a possible leader. Who's your go-to when you need something done? Who has that infectious energy and drive? Where are your diamonds in the rough? Where you can say, boy, Karen is always at every event, and she never misses a meeting. She never misses a club project. She never misses a fundraiser. Have a conversation with her. You thank you so much for spending your time, but what is it? What are you getting out of this? And I think you would make a really great, I believe in you. I really think you can do that. It often takes someone else to plant that seed. Not many people are going to say, oh yeah, I'll run for president. Sure. Some may, but by and large, most people need to hear, I think you would make a great club president. I think you would make a fantastic lieutenant governor. I believe in you, and give them examples why. Maybe they were thinking about it. And I know there's many, many examples of this. Governor Mike, are you still on the call?
Yes, I am.
Were you approached to consider being governor?
Yes, I was.
And can you talk a little bit about that experience and maybe why it resonated with you?
Well, I had always thought about running for governor at some time. But I got a phone call one night. I got a message one night, asked if I could be on a call with 2 of the past governors the next night at a certain time. And I did. I had an idea what they wanted. But in the last couple of years, we've asked our past governors association to try to create what we're talking about tonight, a leadership pipeline, so that we have people lined up to possibly run for governor. My thing was, by them asking me now, it kind of turned on the light bulb of, oh, maybe I should do this now instead of waiting till I was retired and older. And maybe I can get around better now and enjoy it better now with the travel and everything. So that's why I stepped up and decided to run.
Mm-hmm. But they planted that seed. And sometimes it may take a little while. I know when I was at, I think it might have been I was at a mid-year, I believe it was the midwinter in person. And I was sitting at a workshop, just waiting for the workshop to begin. And person sitting beside me, said, I think you would make a really great lieutenant governor. Have you ever thought about that? And in my head, you sit there, go, oh, I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot of work, a lot of travel, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I said, yeah, let's do this. And I ran for lieutenant governor that next year. And I don't know if I would have pulled that trigger if he didn't say something to me. And I hear that story a lot in the travels with the district. So don't be afraid, send out those accolades for people. Even if it's, man, you flipped those pancakes like it was nobody's business. You did a fantastic job. Thank you. We'd like you to do that again. It'll get, maybe they'll kind of get that, okay, and they'll come back and we'll run for treasurer. I like to bring in the money or what have you. You have to make it individualized, and you have to know your people. You absolutely have to know your people. I saw these couple little quotes, and leadership is not about a title or a designation. It's about impact, influence, and inspiration. And we don't need a title to lead. We just need to care. People would rather follow a leader with a heart than a leader with a title. And that, I really think both of these particular quotes really resonated with me when I was thinking about Kiwanis and leadership, and because all the tools are there to do the actual job. It's that intrinsic stuff to give them the tools. And we have Amplify, we have, club leadership education, we have leadership development education, we have KI, we have books, it's the amount of information we have to support somebody to do the job is incredible. But we need to make sure that people are comfortable doing it, that they have the drive to do it. And this really is what it's all about. I really want you guys to take back one thing from this, that you have to know your club members and what resonates with them, so we can give them the opportunities to grow and challenge themselves into becoming the Kiwanian that they want to become. Because it will support your club, it will support the district. I want to encourage you to seek out those diamonds in the rough in your clubs. They are a gift, and we need to make sure that they stay with us to continue to help build our clubs and get out what they want to get out. Because if you have something that you're meeting the people's needs, they're going to give you 100%. I did want to say that this forum was presented by the PA Past Lieutenant Governors Association. The officers are on there, and the PLGA email is on here as well. It was really important for the Past Lieutenant Governors Association to start talking about this leadership pipeline. I know the past governors are also working with that, and we are here as a support to the clubs. If any past lieutenant governor can, if you have a question, please let us know. We can help you with training with your club, any support. We are here for that. So please send an email to the PLGA if you would like any technical assistance in that realm. I'm going to stop sharing now so I can actually see you people. What questions do you have about this? Or this is just kind of an open forum? Thoughts?
Somebody's got to have a question.
I don't have a question, but I do have something I'd like to say.
Open forum. Go ahead.
So, and Barb, you and I had already talked about this when we were on our last Zoom. And this is a great idea. And the more we share this information with with clubs that are struggling or leaders that are struggling, I believe the succession plan will actually become a actual succession plan for some clubs, and it'll be able to not only work at the club level, it'll work at the division level and at the district. So if we can continue to push this type of quick and informative information, I think it will catch on. And I want to thank you and Brittany for doing this.
Of course. It's easier said than done. I mean, we've been struggling with this for years. So, you know, a half hour to 45-minute webinar is not going to solve it all. I wish it did. But that being said, it really is as simple as getting to know your members and encouraging them to do what they want to do in Kiwanis. And I just realized my name says Barbara. I have no idea why it did that. That is so weird. That's not my name, people. I don't know why it says that. So any thoughts? I know we've all experienced it in our clubs and in our districts, but any experiences that you guys have had in identifying a diamond in the rough? In your club?
We got a new member as a secretary for the, or as a new member for the Sewickley Club. And she was a former service leadership program person. And we asked her to be the secretary, and she jumped right at it and said, yeah, I'll be glad to do that. And it worked out really well. She's continuing as a secretary this year, Angeline.
That's great.
So you're right. The ideas are there. The problem we've had, or at least I've been involved in, is we don't have a lot of new members. It's hard to get new members to come, in our clubs. And Angeline was actually referred. She contacted, I think, Kevin's office in order to, get the information. And then once we got it, she found a club that was near her house and jumped right in and helped us with the Harvest Festival and so on. So you're right. If you find that person and you can guide them, it seems to work.
Mm-hmm. And then supporting them in that role. Checking in with them. How you doing? How you feeling?
That's right. That's
what else would you like to do? Are you happy? And that's critical. And I'm glad she's staying on. And again, she was a former SLP, and those might be some folks to kind of help. Hey, you were in, Circle K, you're in Key Club, you're in Builders Club, the structure of Kiwanis. In that SLP role, Kiwanis met a need, but what need can Kiwanis meet for you now? What do you want to get out of? What do you want to get out of this?
Right, out of Kiwanis, your Kiwanis experience, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, and it is different for everybody.
Right.
So, any other questions, thoughts?
I have a question. This is Debbie.
Yes. Yeah.
I like that you talked about committee chairs being leaders, because they certainly are. They can run the show, and we have many great leaders of our committees, and they've been doing that specific committee for years. Mm-hmm. What's the best way to get them to pass on their knowledge to someone else so that we could make that, have other people learn how to do it? I thought about initiating a co-chair for every chair, and that co-chair would be tasked with maybe even documenting what they do from start to finish.
That's an excellent idea, Debbie. And the thing is, that person's not gonna be around all the time. What happens if they're away, or God forbid they're ill before the fun, before the pancake breakfast that they're coordinating, and nobody knows what to do? You really should, that person should write down, maybe like a timeline or whatever's needed for that. So again, somebody can take up with that. And yeah, there's a lot of pride with that. And that also goes with, like, when someone's a club officer for a while, there's a lot of pride there. But other people can do it too. And it's about the strength of the club. Tiffany, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, because I was sort of, I was secretary for like 10 years. But what I did was because I knew every project our club did, I knew how it ran, how everything did. So I created all documents on every single project in case what you're saying will happen. And then I put them all in our club drive. So then that way, at least there's a starting point to have for if anything would happen to somebody, or if someone knew we wanted to come on, there's then the running document of how things run, how things should go, what needs to happen. So at least if your club can do that, that'd be like a great start for all your projects.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah,
And when,
yep,
if
I
you,
know. Good.
I was gonna say, if you've been in Kiwanis for that, for that length of time and you know all the projects and how they are run, that's great. But if you don't, I think it's a great opportunity to get somebody to, be a co-chair and learn how to do it and document it as well. And I'm big on documentation. I wrote processes and procedures most of my career. So for me, I read, how do you do this?
Yeah. Well, I'm a teacher, so that like comes into
That's
Your lesson
that's where
planning.
you get it
So
from. Yep, yep.
and then the good thing with that is, say, like, you have someone that's been like a chair forever and they maybe want to step down. Maybe if you find someone that would co-chair it for the first year, and then that person could go and just show that, them how it runs, what's going on, and then sort of like groom them to be then the regular chair then the following year. That's a good success as well.
Mhm.
That's a great point, because they may not step down just because they don't think anybody knows how to do it.
Get back to me. You mentioned the third tree.
Good
Hopefully
thought.
a little discount on it, so he should do something for you. He's want to get back to me.
So, I mean, that's an excellent segue to, and maybe have that person say, you've been doing this for so long, can you write down what you do, those little nuances, because that can make a big difference in the success or the less success. I don't want to say the word failure, because failure is not an option. But where you can have some challenges with that. I knew of a club that it was like a couple weeks before the pancake breakfast, the person was not able to coordinate that, and they were scrambling, what to do, how do you do this, and it was already out, all the tickets were sold, they had to have the breakfast, so it went off. It was a little tiring for them. I know my club, we have a binder for like every activity, and we actually have like examples of the flyers and things.
Right.
And then you say, this is kind of the structure of it, but okay, committee member, if you want to add your little flavor, let us know. And, you can make it your own or whatever. It is 20 to 8. I know we're usually about 40 minutes. Is it 45 minutes, Brittany?
Yeah, we're usually right at about 40 minutes is the goal, but if the conversation's still going, we're happy to keep it going.
Yep.
But for those of you that need to hop off, you are welcome to, but before you do, take a look in the chat. Governor Mike put a link to International President Burt West's presentation this Thursday at 7 p.m. Our district is also hosting him this week to talk about the 2-for-2 membership program. If you cannot go on Thursday, it will be recorded.
But
So,
please,
Bob.
if you can get on there Thursday night, that'd be great, because he's doing something special for our district, because I have a good relationship with him, and he was unable to attend our mid-year in person, so he wanted to do something. So he's putting this on for us special. So please share it among your members as much as you can to see how many people we can get out here for Thursday night.
Yep. And that may answer some questions about the membership that you were talking about, Bob. Obviously, we need new people, more people to do those things. We need the
Right.
breadth of Kiwanis. It should not be on the backs of everybody,
Right.
or the few. So definitely encourage you to do that. I'm happy to stay on and chat. I do want to be respectful of people's time. I know we're all very, very busy, and we all wear a lot of hats. So whatever you guys want to do, I'm fine with. I hope this was helpful. A lot of this was probably some refresher, but just kind of validating that there's not a lot of rocket science involved with this. It really is getting down to the basics and knowing your members and pushing a little bit, encouraging a little bit, but being supportive and saying, yeah, you can do this. Oh,
And we're always looking for lieutenant governors and chairs and committee members. Unfortunately, there's always vacancies in the lieutenant governor's positions. And
mhm.
it's not that hard. I actually think back in the day when, when they had to they did a lot more running around than we do now. Now you have to attend meetings and do communication with your clubs. And that's a lot easier now than it was when everybody had to run around from club to club. Sometimes it's difficult if you're working and they have a noon meeting or something, but there's always ways around that.
Mhm.
So if you think there's anybody in your club that might be interested in being a lieutenant governor, please have them reach out to me, or especially Conrad, because Conrad is in the process now of setting up his committees and his lieutenant governors and trustees. We actually have two regions that may have vacancies and trustees.
And if there's somebody that you would like the past Lieutenant Governors Association to reach out to, or if you have somebody that maybe has mentioned to you, or you hear kind of, sidebars, say, gee, I wonder what that's all about. Encourage them to reach out. We have a lot of past lieutenant governors who want to sit down one-on-one with people to really support the district, but support those people in their Kiwanis experience and their Kiwanis journey. We can answer the questions. We've been there. Some of us are still there. Karen's here.
Interject
now, darling.
interject on Barb. Like, I was lucky. I had 3 past lieutenant governors in my club alone. And so I had, a good working relationship with all 3 of them, that if I needed to, when I was thinking about wanting to become lieutenant governor, I had such a good, conversations with them. I knew I could go with them for help at all. So that's what we're all here for it with the, the past governors or lieutenant governors association. So please, don't be afraid to reach out. We've all been there. And actually, I loved being lieutenant governor. I was it for 2.5 years. I loved going to all the clubs. I had a lot of clubs at the time I did it. So it was a hectic for every time I went to go visit them. But I really enjoyed meeting everybody, getting to know everybody, seeing all the different projects and events that all the clubs did. So it actually was really, fulfilling for me.
I will echo all of that. I did it.
Oh,
Did we need to?
Barbara's
Barb's on overtime. She froze.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm actually going to stop the recording. But feel free to continue the conversation.